In the heart of West Africa, hidden among the scorching dunes of the largest desert on Earth, there exists a forgotten kingdom inhabited by ancient tribes who claim to originate from a star they knew details about centuries before modern science discovered it. These people live on steep cliffs, carving their homes into the rock, hiding behind masks that seem to grant them power, and isolating themselves for weeks from childhood in order to become adults. In this new video from Have Travel, we will explore Mali in greater depth, a land of disappearing rivers and the largest mud-built structures on the planet. A remote and little-known country where twins and snakes are revered as if they were gods. An enigmatic nation that preserves traditions as provocative as the Garawo, an ancestral festival some describe as a tribal tinder, where hundreds of men paint their faces and compete for days to be chosen, sometimes even as lovers, by the women who observe them, regardless of whether those women are already married. It is a country with one of the youngest populations on Earth, where the average exceeds 6 children per woman, partly because polygamy is legal and widely practiced, to the point where some men have dozens of wives at the same time. This is made possible by traditions such as the exchange of wives, or communities where women secretly choose their future husbands. Pay close attention and don't miss this video, because we guarantee that traveling through Mali and discovering the curiosities of one of the cheapest countries on the planet will surprise you. Let's begin. In a remote corner of West Africa, hidden among the dunes of the Sahara, the largest hot desert on the planet, lies Mali, a country of ancient history, extreme landscapes, and traditions that seem suspended in time or taken from another reality. With an area of more than 1,200,000 square kilometers, nearly twice the size of Spain, or slightly larger than France, Mali combines vast deserts, rivers that disappear into the sand, and valleys where life is almost impossible. The Malian Sahara is not only one of the largest deserts in the world, but also one of the most hostile. Its dunes stretch for thousands of kilometers, and the heat can be so intense that travelers become disoriented within hours. However, this extreme desert has not prevented humans from finding ways to survive and trade. Even today, salt caravans cross its sands as they did centuries ago, mainly transported by camels. These caravans travel ancient routes that connect oases with southern villages and the inner delta of the Niger River. Some of these journeys can last weeks, and the salt cargo, essential for nutrition and food preservation, becomes a true treasure in the most remote villages. A striking curiosity about these caravans is that some still use ancestral techniques. Nomads calculate their routes guided only by the stars and discrete marks in the dunes, without modern maps or GPS. In addition, each caravan has its own rituals to ask the desert spirits for protection before departure, a tradition that has survived despite modernization in other parts of the country. Salt, beyond its economic value, has symbolic meaning. It represents resistance and the connection between the different communities of the Sahara and the Sahel. In Mali, salt is not just a condiment, it is a pillar of life and survival. Thanks to it, basic foods such as fish, meat, and grains can be preserved, allowing desert families and villages to store supplies for months in an environment where extreme heat and water scarcity would otherwise spoil food within hours. For centuries, salt has also served as a form of currency, used in barter to obtain livestock, fabrics, or tools, becoming a symbol of wealth and prestige, perhaps more important in this region than gold or precious stones. For Sahara communities, each block of salt carried by the caravans is much more than an economic resource. It is a small jewel that connects oases, rivers, and scattered villages across this seemingly infinite desert, helping them survive in one of the harshest territories on Earth. The Sahara's heat is so extreme that even Mali's most important rivers seem to disappear. This is why the Niger River, which flows from Guinea into the interior of the country, experiences a surprising phenomenon. Its waters infiltrate the sand and partially disappear in certain desert stretches, especially during the dry season when the flow decreases and the water filters into the sandy riverbed, creating the sensation that the river evaporates or vanishes. This does not mean the river disappears entirely. Its waters continue flowing underground and reappear kilometers later, sometimes forming temporary lagoons or oases that sustain plant life, animals, and human communities. For nomads and desert herders, knowing where these underground waters reemerge is vital for survival. Thanks to centuries of experience, many know where to dig wells and how to anticipate water movements, making local knowledge as valuable as the salt they transport. In this extreme environment, the need to survive has led peoples like the Dogon to read the sky for centuries, deciphering the positions of the stars to navigate, plan routes, and ensure survival. According to their oral traditions, they already knew details about a star long before science discovered it. They believe humans descend from gods who came from that star, a connection that has astonished researchers. Mali borders Niger, Burkina Faso, Senegal, Mauritania, Algeria, and Côte d'Ivoire, in a region known as the Sahel, a name derived from Arabic meaning shore or edge, as it lies between the Sahara Desert to the north and African savannas to the south. This transition zone has long been a crossroads of empires, trade routes, and civilizations. Despite its vast territory, Mali's population is concentrated mainly around the Niger River, one of Africa's largest rivers, forming an inner delta essential for agriculture and life. Population density is low, not because of low birth rates, but due to the harsh environment. Mali has one of the highest fertility rates in the world, with nearly 7 children per woman, and one of the youngest populations, with an average age of about 17. This extreme fertility is rooted in survival needs, high infant mortality, and scarce resources. Polygamy is socially accepted and widely practiced, especially in rural areas, where having many children increases social prestige and clan influence. It is not only an Islamic tradition, but also an ancestral strategy to strengthen community bonds and increase family labor. To obtain more wives, men often engage in traditional bride price practices, offering livestock or goods to the bride's family. Some travel hundreds of kilometers across the Sahara and the Sahel, facing sandstorms, extreme heat, and the risk of running out of water, just to reach livestock markets and secure these alliances. During the colonial era, Mali was part of French Sudan, within the French colonial empire in West Africa. This period left a deep administrative legacy and established French as the official language, although everyday life is dominated by local languages such as Bambara, Fulani, and Songhai. Before colonization, Mali was the heart of powerful African empires, Ghana, Mali, and Songhai, which dominated trade, education, and culture for centuries. Today, over 90% of the population practices Islam, introduced through merchants and scholars along Sahelian and Niger trade routes. This Islam coexists with ancient local beliefs, creating a unique cultural fusion. Among Mali's most fascinating traditions are those of the Bororo people, nomadic pastoralists of the Sahel who celebrate the Garawel festival, one of the most colorful and controversial rituals in the world. During this ceremony, men adorn themselves with makeup, jewelry, and elaborate clothing, competing through song and dance, while women observe, evaluate, and freely choose their partners or lovers, challenging traditional gender norms in a predominantly Muslim and conservative society. For the Bororo, beauty is identity and honor. Vanity is usually frowned upon, except during the Garawel, where it becomes sacred art. Held after the rainy season in remote camps, this intimate celebration remains largely untouched by tourism and cameras, preserving its ancestral essence. In Bororo communities, however, this practice is part of an ancient tradition that places women at the very center of romantic choice. They are the ones who observe, compare, and decide. Unlike the rest of Malian society, where marriage is usually shaped by family agreements and religious norms, here women freely choose their lover or partner, even if they are already married. It is a custom that many consider controversial, but among the Bororo, it is seen as a natural expression of desire and female freedom, a reminder of ancient times when the rules of love were not dictated by religion, but by nature and the spirit of the clan. During the Garawel, men become the protagonists of a spectacle of beauty and endurance. They spend hours applying makeup using natural pigments made from red clay and ochre, carefully outlining their eyes and lips to highlight what their culture considers seductive traits: large eyes, a slender nose, white teeth, and a bright smile. They dress in colorful tunics, necklaces, and shell ornaments, while their bodies move to the yake dance, a hypnotic chant that blends grace, energy, and sensuality. The dance is not improvised. Every gesture, every gaze, every step has meaning. The men maintain a constant smile, as showing white teeth is a symbol of purity, and they open their eyes wide to display vitality. Some even drink traditional brews made from local roots or herbs that act as natural stimulants, helping them endure the fatigue of dancing under the Sahel sun. For hours and sometimes days, voices echo, drums set the rhythm, and the desert dust mixes with the scent of sweat and sand.
Then comes the crucial moment. The women, dressed in their finest fabrics, walk slowly in front of the rows of men. They observe, compare, whisper among themselves until one of them makes her decision. She gently touches the arm or hand of the chosen man, and with that silent gesture, a new story begins. Sometimes it is a brief romance, other times a relationship that lasts a lifetime. The Garawal in Mali is not just a ritual of love, it is also an act of cultural resistance. For the Bororo, keeping this tradition alive is a way of reaffirming their nomadic identity and spiritual independence in the face of modern homogenization and religious pressure. Here, in a nation largely governed by Islamic orthodoxy, a small group of herders continues to remind the world that beauty, desire, and freedom are also sacred. Anthropologists and travelers who have witnessed this ritual describe it as an almost surreal experience, a tribal version of Tinder without screens or algorithms, guided only by glances, rhythm, and courage. And although the Garawal in Mali does not reach the scale of the one celebrated in Niger, it possesses a unique human intensity because it takes place far from public view, within closed communities where passion and tradition are lived as naturally as the sun and dust of the Sahel. You may be surprised to know that the most striking reality of this documentary is still to come. But before that, let us ask you, what would you think of watching thousands of women publicly choosing their lovers? Would you be able to wear makeup and dance for hours to earn the love of one of them? What has surprised you most about this country? Leave your answer in the comments. You help us immensely to continue creating content like this every week and to grow this community. We also love reading you, and you may be surprised by what others watching the same video think. Thank you. At its core, the Garawal remains what it was centuries ago, a celebration of love as a vital force, of the body as language, and of women as symbols of choice and power. An ancestral window into a world where, for a few nights, rules are suspended and beauty dictates its own law. But the Bororo are not the only ethnic group that preserves extraordinary rituals and traditions. If we observe the cultural richness of Mali's tribes more closely, one of the most fascinating and enigmatic peoples is undoubtedly the Dogon, whose knowledge, ceremonies, and worldview make them one of the most extraordinary communities on the planet. The Dogon are an ancient tribe possessing astonishing astronomical knowledge. According to their tradition, humans descend from the Nomo, amphibious deities who descended from the star Sirius, also known as the brightest star in the night sky. Sirius is indeed the brightest star visible from Earth and is part of a binary star system, meaning it is accompanied by another star known as Sirius B. What is truly surprising is that the Dogon were aware of the existence of this companion star long before modern science was able to detect it just a few centuries ago. Through careful observation of the sky and a rich oral tradition, they developed advanced astronomical knowledge that included the position, movement, and influence of Sirius and its companion, something that modern astronomy confirmed only in recent times. This knowledge was likely essential for their survival in one of the most extraordinary and extreme environments on Earth, the Sahel and the cliffs of Mali, where the climate is harsh, with prolonged droughts and temperatures that swing between cold nights and scorching daytime heat. Understanding stellar cycles allowed them to plan agriculture, crops, and harvest rituals, ensuring survival under such difficult conditions. In daily life, the Dogon live in carefully organized villages, often located on slopes and cliffs that offer protection from invasions and extreme weather. Their clothing is simple. Men usually wear loincloths or light fabrics, while women wear skirts and garments adapted to the heat. In many cases, they do not wear underwear, following ancient traditions that prioritize comfort and adaptation to the environment. Daily life combines agriculture, livestock herding, and communal work with rituals and ceremonies that maintain social and spiritual cohesion. The Dogon worldview is also vividly reflected in their masks used during ceremonial dances. For the Dogon, these masks are not mere decorations. They believe they grant spiritual power and protection, connecting them with ancestral spirits and the Nomo. The shapes of the masks are extremely varied and symbolic. Some represent animals, others stylized human faces, and many include geometric elements that allude to stars and constellations. Certain mask designs may only be worn by initiated men, and the movements and gestures during the dances are intended to transmit the strength of the ancestors and the cosmos. Much of Dogon power and knowledge is developed from childhood and early youth. As part of their rite of passage into adulthood, young Dogon, usually between the ages of 11 and 15, are secluded in caves along the cliffs for days or even weeks in complete isolation and absolute silence. This solitary initiation, known as the Sigi, not only tests their physical and mental endurance, but also allows them to connect with spirits, learn ancestral secrets, and acquire what they consider mystical abilities and profound spiritual wisdom, preparing them for full integration into adult community life. During this time, the youths feed only on herbs, roots, and ritual water, living under austere conditions that reinforce discipline, concentration, and connection to the sacred.
Each day in these caves or sacred shelters is another step in their preparation, teaching them to interpret signs of nature, listen to the messages of the wind and the stars, and understand the complex cosmology that guides Dogon life. Within Dogon belief, twins hold an extraordinary and sacred place, unlike in many other cultures. They are believed to descend directly from the gods, acting as guardians of the community and bearers of luck, protection, and vital energy.
This grants them special status from birth and explains why multiple births are celebrated with specific rituals and ceremonies considered manifestations of the divine. In the Dogon worldview, not all humans share this direct connection with the gods. Twins are seen as intermediaries between the spiritual world and everyday life, making them especially revered and protected. In some Dogon villages, snakes are venerated and live near homes and fields, especially in rituals related to fertility, crop protection, and harmony with the land. Some of these snakes are venomous, yet the Dogon treat them with respect and care, believing their presence warns of danger or announces important events for the community. They consider these animals guardians of ancestral secrets and symbols of power, capable of transmitting messages between the spiritual and earthly worlds. For these reasons, magic, supernatural forces, and interaction with the invisible are not only accepted, but form an integral part of daily life, teaching children from an early age to respect and interpret the signs of nature and the sacred. The Dogon way of life is intimately tied to their environment, often as striking as they are, since their homes and granaries are built along the Bandiagra escarpment, a region of cliffs and plateaus that offers security, panoramic views, and natural protection from extreme heat. The caves within the cliffs function as natural refrigerators, shelters from drought and heat, and strategic spaces for storing food and provisions. Living on these cliffs also allows them to monitor their surroundings, protecting themselves from invaders and wild animals. These dwellings are not the only remarkable constructions in Mali. The country is also famous for its mud-built architecture, some of the tallest and most spectacular in the world. The city of Djenné, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, is home to the Great Mosque, considered the tallest mud structure on Earth, standing over 25 meters high. This temple is not only a religious center, but also an example of Malian architectural ingenuity, demonstrating how mud and adobe can be transformed into durable and beautiful structures that endure for centuries. Beyond the Great Mosque, other Malian towns preserve impressive mud buildings such as communal houses, granaries, and defensive towers that combine functionality with aesthetics. These traditional constructions help regulate interior temperatures, protect against rain, and provide central communal spaces for social and religious life. But if there is one city in Mali that every traveler should know, it is the legendary Timbuktu, one of the most enigmatic and fascinating places on the planet. Known as a city where knowledge was centuries ahead of Europe, Timbuktu was for centuries a center of trade, culture, and learning in West Africa. During the Middle Ages and the era of the Mali Empire, the city housed dozens of universities and Quranic schools. Some sources mention more than 12 major centers of learning that attracted students from across Africa and the Islamic world. Subjects such as astronomy, mathematics, medicine, law, and philosophy were studied there long before many of these disciplines were taught in Europe. In addition to being an academic center, Timbuktu was a crucial hub of global trade, where gold, salt, slaves, and textiles were exchanged. Its streets were filled with merchants, scribes, and travelers who brought books, knowledge, and news from distant lands. Its private libraries and Islamic manuscripts were so valuable that many were hidden or protected within family homes, preserving knowledge that surpassed in complexity that of many European cities of the time. The Timbuktu manuscripts, written in Arabic and local languages such as Songhai and Tamashek, cover religious, scientific, and literary subjects, including treatises on mathematics, astronomy, poetry, and Islamic law. Some of these texts contain astronomical observations and mathematical calculations that were hundreds of years ahead of medieval European knowledge, making the city a true treasure of humanity. Today, although Timbuktu has lost much of its former glory, it still preserves historic mosques, mud houses, and remnants of its libraries, reminding visitors of its role as a bridge between Africa, the Islamic world, and universal knowledge.
As you can see, Mali contains a unique cultural and architectural landscape where life, religion, astronomy, and adaptation to extreme environments intertwine in remarkable ways. Perhaps this is why the country is known as the land of legends and storytellers. Its ancient traditions, rituals, and beliefs in the supernatural create an environment where the extraordinary and the everyday coexist, forming stories passed down through generations. At certain times of the year, Mali's towns and cities transform into living stages of oral storytelling. Storytellers, often dressed in blue or vividly colored robes to be easily recognized, wander through streets, squares, and markets, narrating tales that blend myths, moral lessons, and stories of ancestral heroes. Their voices resonate to the rhythm of drums and flutes, while the golden dream of nearby dunes seems to accompany each story, and listeners, seated in circles or standing, immerse themselves in a world where reality and legend merge. These performances are not merely entertainment, they are vehicles of cultural memory, ways of transmitting knowledge about nature, astronomy, history, and social rules in one of the most unknown yet fascinating countries in Africa and the world, a land where imagination and reality meet, where ancestral secrets still influence modern life. If you have made it this far, you may be interested in discovering how to reach and fully enjoy Mali, exploring firsthand its landscapes, traditions, legends, and the stories still told by storytellers in villages and squares. At Mundo Sin Censura, we have researched and now summarize everything you need to know to live this unique experience. Reaching Mali from the Americas usually requires a connecting flight, typically through Europe or West Africa, while from Europe there are direct flights from Paris, Brussels, or Madrid to the capital, Bamako. Visitors must apply for a visa before traveling, except for some African countries with special agreements. Mali is considered one of the cheapest countries to travel in Africa, great news for budget travelers. The local currency is the West African CFA franc, which remains relatively stable against the US dollar. $1 is approximately equal to 650 CFA francs, although exchange rates may vary slightly.
The official language is French, though local languages such as Bambara, Fulani, and Songhai are widely spoken in daily life. Traveling within Mali is possible by buses, shared taxis, and domestic flights, although transportation can be limited outside major cities. Security is an important factor to consider. Due to political tensions, armed conflicts in the north, and sporadic attacks by armed groups, it is recommended to travel accompanied by experienced local guides, avoid nighttime travel, and stay away from conflict-prone border areas. Regarding accommodation in Bamako, a double room in a mid-range hotel costs approximately $20 to $30 per night, while dinner for two at a local restaurant can range between $10 and $15, depending on the place. Among the most interesting routes and excursions are visits to the Bandiagra escarpment to explore Dogon villages,
tours of Bamako's markets and cultural festivals, and exploration of the ancient cities of Timbuktu and Djenné, famous for their mud architecture and millennia-old history. From Have Travel, we hope this video has been as interesting for you as it has been for us, and that it has helped you discover Mali, one of the most enigmatic nations on the planet. If so, do not hesitate to leave us a like and a comment. It is the best way to help us continue bringing you fascinating content every week, and to invite you to watch the next video, where you will discover another of the most fascinating places on Earth.